आदाब दोस्तों, मैं सुहेल फारूक हूँ और आप मुझे YouTube पे देख रहे हैं। In 2010, I remember I was in Highmont at that time, and Game of Thrones, it came in, and I already had the blessing of reading at least two of its books. So I started preaching about it to all the marketing staff and sales staff, and so I kept telling people to start watching it. Not many people knew about the book, but since it was a great show, so everybody started watching it, and it took almost 10 years to finish. Not according to the book, but then they finished it. I was still in Pakistan when we had this last season of Game of Thrones, and I remember I was watching the last episode with my mother when Jon Snow killed Queen Daenerys Targaryen, and she was very sad. And I was very sad, but of course, it was not the ending that we were expecting. But they started developing a certain kind of, preparation for the audience. They started preparing the audience for the ending, and the imp started talking about the Queen of Ashes, that you don't want to be a Queen of Ashes. So if you want to conquer the city, if you want to conquer the King's Landing, Queen Daenerys was supposed to do it without a battle or without waging a war upon King's Landing. But then in the ending, an incident just so happened, and she became furious about it, and she was losing battles one after the other because of her advisors, primarily the imp and then Varys. And so she was losing battle one after the other, and then she took things in her own hand, and she started using her dragons, and then she started winning battle after battle, and in the end, last season, couple of last, I think, 6 or 7 episode, one of our confidant was kidnapped by Queen Cersei, and then they chop her head off, and then she became furious, she loses her mind, and then she burns the whole city. And the whole thing that we kept learning about and listening to him, that he was warning Queen Daenerys that she didn't want to be the Queen of Ashes. And then she became the Queen of Ashes, but unfortunately she couldn't sit on the throne. And another confidant of her, who she was in love with, and incidentally, he was also her lover, but he was her nephew too. But when you watch these old medieval shows, especially Targaryens, because I've started watching another one now, the prequel to Game of Thrones, which is um, House of Dragons. And there we see that incest was there always amongst the Targaryens and the Valyrian people, and it was there even in the real life. Pharaohs were full-blooded Greeks, and they were marrying just their sisters to keep the bloodline pure. Even Cleopatra was supposed to marry her brother Ptolemy, and before that, all those pharaohs, which were before Cleopatra, they were marrying their own sisters to keep the bloodline pure and clean. But anyway, our own nephew, who was the heir to the throne, and he thought again on the Council of Imp that she was a threat to the people of Westeros, and she was a threat to the people of King's Landing. So he kills her while they are in a loving embrace. So the whole thing, the picture that I'm painting, it's a figure of speech, a Queen of Ashes, and then we have a King of Ashes in the making. And you know who I'm talking about, my favorite personality, my hero, my captain, and my leader, Imran Khan. Imran Khan Saab jo hai, I think he's going to be a King of Ashes too, because अभी जो चीजें निकल के सामने आ रही हैं और जिस तरह से मुल्क के हालात बदल रहे हैं, one of my own videos the other day that I made it very clear. It doesn't matter whoever is going to win the next election. It's the PDM or it's PTI or it's People's Party or it's Noon League. Whoever is going to win the election, it's going to make no difference. We are heading towards a disaster from where it's going to be extremely difficult to get back. Then I think there's going to be a point when even IMF and World Bank and all the other international monetary organizations are not going to be able to save this country. Because I remember there was this movie, it's again a book, but they made a very good movie, fantastic movie, one of my favorite. That was Lord of the Rings. And again, I'm watching a prequel to the Lord of the Ring, which is on Amazon. It just started two episodes only. The Rings of Power. So there's a scene at one place when Aragorn and Boromir and Frodo Baggins are all three together in front of each other, and somehow the ring it falls off to the ground, and Boromir picks up the ring, and Aragorn tells him to give him back the ring. So he gives him back the ring, but then there is another point when Boromir tries to take the ring away from Frodo, and Frodo runs away from Boromir, and then suddenly Aragorn appears in front of Frodo, and Aragorn tries to convince him and tries to give him confidence by saying that he's going to be to his protector and he's going to protect him from everything. And then Frodo says something which stayed with me forever. And he says, "Can you protect me from yourself?" So that's the point where he lets Frodo go. So now is the time that we all have to ask this question to our leaders. I don't care whoever is the leader and who's going to win the election. I don't care about the popularity level of the people. My major concern is about the sanity of the person and his loyalty towards his people and the loyalty towards the country. And apparently it seems that none of them is capable enough to show that virtue and talent. And apparently nobody cares about how it works and what it's going to be like. But in the end, the people of Pakistan are going to lose. So it's about time then that we ask this question to our leaders: that can they protect us from themselves? Can Imran Khan protect us from Imran Khan? Or can Nawaz Sharif can protect us from Nawaz Sharif? Or can Zardari protect us from Zardari? And I think the answer is no. And nobody has the spines. Nobody has that kind of spine that which Aragorn had, and he let Frodo go. So our leaders are egocentric and self-centered, and their ego is massive. It's huge. And like, imagine if a guy walks out of the court and he says, मैं अब मजीद dangerous होता जा रहा हूँ. ये तो उन बच्चों की तरह की बातें हैं जो कि मुझे याद है. Once I took my son to Natya Gali in the month of June, and it was very cold over there. And he came out and he said, "पापा, देखो मैं नरम हो रहा हूँ." तो भाई मैंने इमरान खान की ये स्टेटमेंट सुनी, मैं खतरनाक हो रहा हूँ. तो मुझे याद आ गया कि मेरा बेटे ने मुझे कहा, "पापा मैं नरम हो रहा हूँ." He was so young. He was like 3 or 4 years old. And we were on a trip with my team, and he was so young. So he didn't know how to express it. So he said, "Papa, मैं नरम हो रहा." So Imran Khan भी यही कह रहा है कि पापा मैं खतरनाक हो रहा. So it's just kids game to them. But in the end, it's going to be a disaster for the country. So if Imran Khan or any other leader, primarily, I think Imran Khan is the one who is the candidate to become the next prime minister. So he should be thinking about it, that is he going to be a king of the ashes? And I believe that he's going to be the king of ashes. I'm not prompting some Jon Snow to come up and finish him. This is not the solution. It's not the book. And I think it's about time that he should think about it, that other leaders should also think about it, that if they want this country to be in ashes, or if they want this country to grow and prosper and its people to really start living a life of a human being and have their rights, which everybody is enjoying in the rest of the world. So that's my message for our leaders. That's my message for our people too. People should have the courage to ask this question to their leaders. Who is going to protect us from our leaders? All right, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for being with me. Enough for one day. Good night.